thought it was about the dogs. Nah, it's about power. Yeah. Put up to the specialty, sunrise on the ground. Dogs in the groomer tents, whispers all around. Catalog smiles with the tension in the air. Every handshake got a hidden little snare. Board in the backbone, running quiet little schemes. Bylaws in the pocket like a stack of poker dreams. Players for the breed, but they guarding their throne. If you question anything, they coming for your bone. Grievance in the envelope, certified mail. Club justice system, but the deck.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Just wanted to say I appreciate everybody for showing up and being with me. Okay, I went live early because I wanted to talk about this. So look up Rekieta Law. He's not a lawyer anymore. He got disbarred. And he was never really a lawyer, T. He did a couple cases that he tried to settle out of court, blah, 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 never really worked well. He got really famous during the Rittenhouse trial. He also did Johnny Depp, where he made a ton of money, stuff like that. But he got in a lot of trouble for cocaine and stuff like that because his daughter, his 9-year-old daughter, hit pop positive for cocaine, hair follicle, all kinds of stuff. Lost his law license, all kinds of shit. There's a whole bunch of shit that went on last year or the year before. Him and his wife got arrested. Yes. Him and his wife got arrested. They went to jail. It was a whole live stream thing. He online while live or he either did it online or was getting a BJ online. Like there's clips. So Andrew Wilson using him as his backing horse of the person that, dude. Yeah, I mean, he got into a 4-way relationship. He pretends to be Catholic or Christian or whatever. He was taking his girlfriend to Catholic church with him. It's all on video. Like it went viral. Because the Catholic Church is a mandatory person that has to do stuff. They called the police. Kids were removed. They literally busted in the house, all this stuff. There was coke, there was guns, there was other kinds, there were Molly, all kinds of other stuff. There was it's all like, just go to his YouTube channel. Just search Rekieta Law. Nick Rekieta is his name. It was just a normal party. Well, he used to have, so he had locals. And so on locals, he would do these after parties in his hot tub after his live streams on YouTube and Rumble. And he would go to locals and they would do hot tub party. But yet he's a Christian. So I don't know that that's the horse you want to back you if you're an Orthodox Christian. For TPUSA. I'm just saying. Just search his name. Like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he would. Yeah. But he would get super drunk. Like, his whole thing was people who used to pay him super chats to see how drunk they could get him on live. Literally, just look him up, watch some of his old content. But yeah, and he never really practiced law. So like that's the crazy thing. He never really practiced law. Like he would give like his analysis and stuff like that. And that's the thing. He was in the LawTube sphere. And so he would give law analysis on a lot of cases and stuff like that. But his family's like super duper rich. And so he would go to these galleries and different things like that. And so he like he never really had to do a lot. You get what I'm saying? Yep. I'm serious. Look him up. And people would literally they would send him alcohol. They would pay super chats to see how much he would drink, how drunk he would get. And then he started getting into cocaine and Molly and I don't know if I'm allowed to say that stuff, but he would start getting into the white powder and all kinds of other stuff. Yep. But he made bank because he would get, yeah, rugs. Yeah. Yeah. He would get into a lot of rugs. And then him and his wife went to islands where you could do all kinds of stuff. And he would talk about it on stream. But yet he was Christian. So, you know, there is that. So I don't know if Andrew's using him because he claims, and he claims now that since he's gotten, well, he's got to be sober because of his probation. So I don't, and so now he's reading the Bible again and doing all this stuff. And not that I don't believe people can't have second chances and all this stuff. But he's way different. Like it's just weird. But he lost a lot of followers and stuff like that because he pretended to be one person and all this stuff. But yeah. Exactly. So, but just look him up. Just check him out. So this is the person, and this is the thing. So TPUSA sent Andrew, and we all know that. You could read it from, I mean, he might as well said, and this is sponsored by TPUSA. His opening statement was just, it was wackadoo. So he might as well have said that. But then he's using well, my lawyer. I had a lawyer sitting next to me, I had this lawyer telling me this. That's not the lawyer I would use. He doesn't have a real good background. Right. People can change, but he's not. A lot of people still think he's not. I don't hardly watch him. He did a couple. I watched a few minutes of him rambling about this shit and him trying to back Andrew, and I was like, did you watch the same thing that we watched? Like it. And I have to say, I don't agree with everything. Like, I don't go down all the rabbit holes that she goes down and all this shit. So I'm not fully invested in everything, but how do you go to a debate and don't even know any of the charges? Yeah. "13 years on a DUI first time? No way." Right. Never party with your lawyer. That's probably good advice. Yeah, that's probably good advice. Never party with your lawyer. Yeah. Yeah, you'll have to look up that. I mean, just look up his name. I'm not kidding you. You'll be like, what? This is the person you use as your lawyer that says that none of this is good. Yeah, it really, I was like, that's the person you're using? I mean, there's so many more. I mean, one second. Influencers, they aren't brilliant, and sometimes they probably would use another YouTube influencer. Oh, well, that's the, yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is that Nick tried to use another influencer, Barnes or somebody else, to get out of some other legal troubles. And should have lost his case. It was wild. It's a wild case. If you literally are bored, look up the whole Nick Rekieta thing. You'll just be like, this is wild. But a lot of YouTube influencers that are lawyers don't actually practice law anymore. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is Nick Rekieta does have, I think he has a lot of, I think he still has a lot. He doesn't have nearly as many as he used to, but I think he still has quite a few followers. Oh no, he is really dropped. He used to have over millions and he only has 402,000 subs now. So, but right. But yeah, here, I'll post it in here. Check him out though. Because you'll be shocked. You'll literally be shocked. And I was shocked when Andrew Wilson and Rachel Wilson actually retweeted some of this stuff. I was like, really? Do you know? And I think it's because they probably don't know his history. Because obviously Andrew didn't do a lot of history on the actual case. Right. They're dead. Right. So I'm guessing they just took that it said Rekieta law. So they just took that, he's a lawyer, except he's disbarred. He got disbarred. Well, and that's the thing is that if you look at the whatever podcast, right? It's a lot of OnlyFans girls, and stuff like that. And so right. Well, I think he sells do you know that he sells debate classes? Like him and Brian from whatever, they sell courses on how to debate. And Brian's worse. Brian literally has like emotional, like he's emotional. And I just think men that they can't keep their emotions in check like that are more women than men. Like did you watch the whole thing where he was like, okay, well, you name them. Here, I'll count them out. I was like, what? Right. Yeah, they're unstable. And how many times did he say? Like 47 times positive evidence? And what is your positive evidence? Listen, they identify as men, but just big kids, right? Your positive evidence. What is your positive evidence? which I found hilarious. I also think that PBD didn't do a good job as a moderator. Like, why didn't he just stop Andrew and say, let her finish? Like, just let her talk for 2 minutes. Right. He's a dope. Right. That is literally like doubt, reasonable doubt. Like, you don't convict somebody to death because he's up for the death penalty. So that's reasonable doubt right there. 75 to 85%. He lost in the first 3 seconds. Right. But it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't watch a lot of PBD. Just because I can't stand the people. Like, I can't stand, I think it's Adam. Like, he's so emotional. I think it's Adam. I don't know. It's the one dude that he has on there. So I can't stand men who get emotional and like just totally like can't keep their emotions in check. They're like, "Ah." That's why I don't have a lot of female friends either, though. Right. Oh, go to court. They look like they're moving. Right. Guess not. They're just, excuse me, they're just moving. Mm. Also, I don't understand why the whole 300,000 to debate her when she debates everybody for free. I mean, I would have taken his money too. I'd have been like, okay, okay, makes no sense. She debates everybody for free all the time. Like, she has no problem. And then, like, he's like, no, I'll debate you for 300,000. Like, he was like, okay. Mm. But he didn't bring anything new. What did he do? Except try to trap her into some legal lawsuit, which she wasn't dumb enough to play into.
court is now in session. You may be seated.
Yes, please.
She is represented by Attorney the Commonwealth is represented by Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague and Assistant District Attorney Shannon Buckingham.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, counsel. Morning. All right, good morning, Ms. Clancy.
No, they weren't.
All right, before we start, could I see everybody talk about today's schedule?
Okay, so no, they weren't. Okay, so she said that yesterday in her thing. The reason everybody thinks that the rules and contract was he was the only one allowed to ask questions, that wasn't in there. When she asked and he says, well, I'm going to go by our contract and stuff like that, she was like, okay. He literally just said he wasn't going to answer any of her questions. There was nothing in the contract saying that she couldn't ask him questions, but she was just going to sit there because she goes, why would I not just sit there and not ask him questions since he said, no, I couldn't ask him questions, although it wasn't in the contract, because it made people believe there was something in the contract. He allowed that to happen. And she goes, and I made $400 and some dollars. She put out exactly how much it was. He would not answer anything, right, and would ignore it, right. And she goes, so why it was sitting there and it was such an awkward moment and everything, she made 400 and some for those 16, whatever it was. She made 400 and some minutes. She goes, why wouldn't I just sit there? Let it be awkward. He wanted to be in control. She goes, so why wouldn't I just sit there? Yep. But it made everybody think that there was something in the contract because of the way he said it. And she goes, and there wasn't anything. But it was so weird. Also, do you know that he brought like Crowder's team, like his recording people and all this? So Crowder was playing some stupid joke and she said nobody can record where her kids play and stuff like that and all this dumb shit anywhere but the studio, right? And Crowder's one dude literally went to right outside where her kids play and did a live with Crowder. That's some bullshit thing, man. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Me too. Oh, 1 second. Right. Well, that's the thing. She was trained by Charlie, right? So she was trained what to do, what not to do, how to do it, what to think, all that stuff. I don't know who thought Andrew would be the person to debate her. Because she doesn't play into those tactics. Like I've seen her on campuses and like on debate stages. And when people try to play those narratives to her, even on debate stages where like it's in the moment, like fast and all this stuff. She doesn't even play into those. So she had to have known, I mean, like, even in her head, she had to have known they're going to try, like, how are they going to try to get a gotcha moment, right? So even though she was doing all her research and doing all this stuff and trying to remember all this, she still had to know they're going to try to get a gotcha moment. Especially with 300K on the line when she's does it for free. Oh yeah. So do you watch Rattlesnake TV? Have you ever seen that show, Rattlesnake TV? So, because if you have, then you know that Rachel went on there and was talking. Okay, look up Rattlesnake TV. She went on to that guy's channel who apparently simps for them. And she went on there saying that she sat down with Andrew Kovac and he was asking Rachel, if you were Queen Bee, if you were running the show, all this stuff, how would you change TPUSA? And what would you do different? And she had an hour-long episode, which is, I guess, going to be played in a month or so to come. I know. I just thought because you were interested in that, so. Because it's really telling how they're moving, like how the Wilsons are moving with TPUSA, I think, anyway. Because they went on right afterwards. And Rachel did this whole diatribe of, you know, of course, how she won, or how Andrew won, but also how they both sat down for an hour and did and how they know so much more about the case, but they can't talk about the case because it could cause a mistrial. What? Oh, that's cool. I like that. Right. But apparently they believed that she wasn't allowed to have ideas. She wasn't allowed to think. We're not allowed to think. And the crazy thing is that he kept saying, you could just stop doing this and you would be okay. That's the part that is concerning, is everybody wants her to stop. Why? Right. This is facts.
All right, counsel, we ready for the jury?
Yes.
Yes.
The state rested yesterday. Now the defense put on a couple people that I don't believe helped their case. The mom and a doctor. That wasn't her doctor or anything. A doctor. Oh, me too. 1000%.
Hey, all persons having anything to
It's
do
somewhere in the
with
middle of the
William
truth.
Sullivan, Justice of the Superior Court now sitting in Plymouth, within before the Commonwealth. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is now in session. Please be seated.
Yes, please.
Today we have a continuation of the jury trial matter of Commonwealth Justice Lindsay Clancy. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by Attorney Kevin, and the Commonwealth is represented by Assistant District Attorney Candace and Assistant District Attorney Shane Buckingham.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Well, good morning, everyone. All right. Nice to see everyone. You know, I'm going to ask you those questions, and we'll talk a little bit about today's schedule. So first question is, any member of the jury read, seen, heard, or overheard anything from any source about any aspect of this case that would affect your ability to be fair and impartial as a juror? Next question, is there any other serious matter or concern bearing on your service as a juror in this case that anybody needs to bring to my attention? Again, thank you for following those instructions. And what I wanted to, we'll talk a little bit about today's schedule. We're at the point in the trial where I think, as you saw a little bit yesterday, there's kind of some stop and starts that go through. And I think we're going to have a similar day today.
Oh, no.
All right, so I appreciate your patience with us as I deal with counsel about some things that I have to speak to outside of your presence. But as you see the cases moving forward, and those kind of gaps or the stops that you see are part of the reason that keeps the case moving. So I think the schedule today will be similar in some ways to what we had yesterday. All right. And so with that, we're going to now return to the defendant who's presenting her case at this time. Attorney Reddington?
Yesterday was a shit show.
Call Susan Clancy, please. Yeah, she should give it over.
Who are they calling? Somebody Clancy. Oh, the mother-in-law maybe? He was thinking about Tom Clancy.
Good morning. I'm just going to ask you to speak into that microphone, keep your voice up if you could. All right. Counsel.
Good morning.
It's so far.
Just tell us your name and spell it, please.
Susan Clancy, SUSAN CLANCY.
And what time do you live?
Situate.
And you're married to Chris Clancy.
Yes.
And both you and Chris are mother and father of Actors.
Correct.
And you are obviously with them
Yes.
Tell us what your relationship was with Lindsay, how you knew her, and things like that.
But Lindsay married my son Patrick, and we had a very good relationship.
And did you have occasion to go to their home
Yes.
in Weymouth? on
Yes,
occasion?
I did.
And then in Duxbury as well?
Correct.
And obviously, you and your husband were the grandparents of the 3 little kids.
Yes.
And how was your relationship with the babies?
Beautiful.
And tell us how frequently, to your memory, you were able to visit with your son, Lindsay, and of course your grandchildren.
At least a couple times a month, we would see them.
At some point, oh, by the way, what do you do for work?
RN.
I'm sorry, an RN?
An RN.
And what type of any
I
focus?
worked in the labor and delivery room for about 38 years.
38 years in labor and delivery,
Correct.
helping women that were having babies. And
Correct.
obviously you kept up with the studies and continuing education and things.
Yes, I did.
To that extent, in your capacity as an RN with 38, well, back then it would have been 35 years of experience, I think.
Yes.
Fair to say that you, as I said, you would keep up with all of recent developments in postpartum psychosis, postpartum depression, all of that.
Somewhat, but I mainly just was in the delivery room
So
itself.
were you aware
Somewhat.
of the various physicians that were in the forefront, if you will, of postpartum studies as it relates to medicine?
Yes.
And would one of the people that you were interested in be a person by the name of Dr. Meg Spinelli?
Yes.
Can you tell us who Meg Spinelli is?
I don't really know Meg Spinelli well. We've spoken a couple of times. I believe she specializes in postpartum mental health.
And have you met with her before?
Not in person.
Okay. Did you at some point ask Dr. Spinelli to help out at your hospital, and I guess they call it a rounds lecture?
I asked her to bring on her experience and education in that area and share it with my colleagues.
Did she do that?
She did.
And as time went by, dealing with your job, your family, your son, daughter-in-law, grandchildren, did you notice in 2022, after Callan was born, any change in the personality, if you will, of Lindsay?
Several months after that, I did.
Would that be sometime in the fall?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors, being as close as you were with the family, well, let me back up. As a mother-in-law, did you have any observation to observe Lindsay with her kids?
Yes.
How was
Tell the jurors about how you saw her acting with her children as a mother.
She was very nurturing, very loving. She was a wonderful mother. Wonderful.
Did you ever see her treat her middle son, Dawson, bad because you didn't like him?
No.
Did she love Dawson, in your opinion?
She loved her children, all of them, very, very much.
And during that period of time, let's say October, November of 2022, what did you observe about Lindsay?
She reached out to me in November and told me that she felt unwell.
Did she describe any symptoms for you?
She did.
Tell the jurors what she said.
She felt
I don't understand.
mostly she had insomnia. She was losing her appetite. She was very anxious and sad.
Did she tell you that she was seeing doctors?
Yes.
And at some point, did you recommend, did she come to you and ask you for help regarding seeing a doctor?
Yeah, she asked for my support.
And did you obviously gave it to her?
Yes.
And what did you do to make any recommendations for her?
I reached out to my colleagues who were running a clinic for women that were struggling postpartum.
Would that be the Southshore?
Yes, correct.
And at some point, as a result of your intervention, was a nurse practitioner, Julie Hall,
Right?
agreeing to step in and help out.
Yes.
Did Lindsay see Julie?
I believe she did.
And you really pretty much were out of the mix at that point. You basically made the connection, knew that she had gone there, right?
Correct.
Did you find that Lindsay was interested at all times in trying to get better and see doctors?
Very much so.
Did you find at all, do you have an opinion of your observations of Lindsay as to whether or not she was offered help and would just spurn it and not see doctors and not have
She was
treatment?
begging for help.
And during that period of time, you were there for her by text and by telephone and in person.
Correct.
Now, during that time that you were, let's say November and into December, the holiday season, do you recall the holidays for 2022?
Yes.
Can you tell us, was that a fun time for the Clancys?
Lindsay was struggling. We were all very concerned.
Did
You
you,
know in January, New Year's, actually, that she ended up going
Yes.
to the McLean Hospital.
Yes.
You know that she eventually got out of the McLean Hospital.
Yes.
Fair to say that you and Lindsay, as I said, communicated a lot by text messaging, right?
Yes. Correct.
So I'm going to approach you with extraction report.
extraction report?
A
What?
report that is done by the DA's office of the state police, Mr. Whiffen, on what's called Celebrate, where they can go into, did they examine your phone?
No.
They examined Lindsay's phone and obtained texts. Have you seen the texts?
I think so.
Okay, I'm going to approach you with the extraction report.
Right? That's what I'm thinking.
And you can just take a look and see
Okay.
if your telephone number is on there, just for foundation purposes. Or if you, it is, okay. And just quickly flip through and see if you recognize those texts. We'll have to look at all of them, that's for sure.
The prosecutor does a really good job of, she's a self-reporter. She's a nurse. She'll labor and delivery on. If she was
Okay to be text between you and Lindsay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm not going to go through each and every text. What I'm going to suggest is I would offer this, and then the jurors would be able to look at what they wish.
Any objection?
Your Honor, Kamal just makes the same objection previously made.
All right, over the Carmel's objection, that may be admitted.
Thank you.
279.
Thank you very much.
Carmel?
no objection, that's it. I don't understand these witnesses. Right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
She also told her mom, apparently.
So you indicated that you were a labor and delivery nurse for 38 years.
Mhm.
And what hospital was that?
Southshore Hospital.
And early on in the defendant's career, you did you work with her?
Briefly.
And she then went to Mass General, correct?
Yeah, she was a student at the time.
And you stated that you are aware of a doctor named Meg Spinelli, correct?
Yes.
Did you reach out to her in this case?
I don't remember exactly how she and I connected. I don't recall.
Well, you indicated that you connected with her in a professional capacity to have her come to your hospital, right?
Yes.
But as far as her role in this case, the defendant, did you reach out to her for that?
I don't think I did. I don't recall.
Now, you said that you began to notice some issues in, defense counsel said October, November, but fair to say you weren't aware of what was going on until she texted you on November 16th when she was
Correct.
at the emergency room.
Yes.
And that was at Southshore Hospital?
Yes.
And you actually met her there at the emergency room?
Yes.
Was she by herself or with Patrick?
She was by herself.
Did you know how she got there?
She drove.
She drove herself to the hospital?
Correct.
And she was in the emergency room for a while, correct?
I don't know how long, probably an hour, maybe 2 hours.
Well, you went down when you knew she was there, sat with her for a little bit, went back upstairs to because you were working that day, right?
Correct. I wasn't able to go down immediately. I had to wait about an hour and a half, and then I went down.
Okay. And then you sat with her for a little bit, went back up to work, right?
Yes.
And then you came back down at some point before she was discharged.
Yes.
Counsel, can I see it sidebar just very briefly?
Oh, Jesus. Right. That's what the testimony was yesterday. She's like, she just said it. Like, and then she told us. She told us. And defense said she told you what? She wanted to hurt the kids. And and he goes, that's all. And then he sits down. Like, there's no follow-up of. So prosecution gets up and says, did you report it? No. No. Nope. I'd have been like 911 immediately. Like, yeah, I don't like. I don't know.
So, Mrs. Clancy, you came down to the emergency room and you sat with her for a while, correct?
Yes.
And did she tell you why she was there?
Yes.
And fair to say, she indicated to you that she was having trouble sleeping and she had some heart palpitations.
Correct.
And that's what brought her to the emergency room to get checked out.
Yes.
Did she tell you that she had consumed a weed gummy before going to the ER that day?
She did not.
Okay. And in your experience as a nurse, is that sometimes a reaction to THC or CBD or some sort of weed that somebody might have a faster heartbeat?
I don't know.
Now, when she was in the emergency room, she was seen by a doctor and provided some medication. Were you there when the doctor was there?
Yes.
And you're aware that the ER doctor, gave her some trazodone to help her sleep?
Yes.
Because that's what she was really concerned about, right? The sleep.
Yes.
And when she left the emergency room, did you call her an Uber or have Pat come and get her or call your husband to come get her?
No.
She left in her own car, right?
Correct.
And so fair to say, after that ER visit, you remained in pretty constant contact with her, at least via text message,
Yes.
right? And that you would check in with her pretty much daily. And that's all in these texts.
Yes.
Now, you were familiar with the perinatal behavioral health clinic because of your work at Southshore Hospital,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
And so the person actually that you connected with first was not Julie Paul, was it?
No, it was one of the midwives that I was working with.
And her name's Nanette.
I think so.
And so did she provide you with Julie Paul's contact information?
She suggested Julie.
Okay. And as a result of the suggestion, you reached out to Julie with Lindsay's permission, right?
Yes.
And you said that at that point you made the contact, knew she had spoken to Julie, and you kind of stepped back from the clinic.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You're aware Julie Paul is one of the only prescribers that the defendant encountered that's not personally named in a civil lawsuit that's pending, don't you?
What?
I'm not sure.
Now, so the ER visit's on the 16th. Contact is made with Julie Paul on November 20th, right?
It sounds right.
Okay. And that would have been your phone call to her first.
It's not named.
I don't remember exactly.
No problem.
In the time period, well, you know she was going and going to see providers and meeting with Julie and going to the clinic. Did you offer to help out more with the kids?
Yes.
You were still working full-time at that time, weren't you?
Yes.
So fair to say it was kind of limited based on your schedule?
Correct.
Did you have a normal schedule that you worked at that time period?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, as a nurse, did you work day shifts? Did you work mids?
I worked the day shift.
So did you offer to watch the kids at nighttime?
I don't remember exactly.
Did the kids come to stay at your house overnight so that she could get some sleep?
No, they didn't.
Fair to say you offered and she didn't want the kids to come to your house, right?
No, that's not right.
Well, were they, did they ever sleep over your house?
No, they didn't.
And Cora was 5, right?
Yes, correct. She turned 5 that December.
So at any point, they never stayed over?
We decided together it was best for them to be in their own beds at their own house with all their belongings. And Lindsay's parents were very actively involved in staying over and helping out. So it was the best decision that they stay home in their own beds.
So prior to the November of 2022, did you and your husband ever come and stay over the night so that Patrick and Lindsay could go off?
We never did stay at their house.
And as far as kind of watching the kids or taking the kids outside of the house during the daytime, did you often take Cora on kind of day trips out to lunch?
Yeah, we used to go to lunch together.
How about Dawson? Did you take him one-on-one out to?
Not as much. He was younger.
And how about Callan? Did you ever take him out of the house without Lindsay?
No.
And are you aware that Lindsay told one of the therapists that she wasn't close with you as in-laws? And that
I didn't know that, no.
That she said she doesn't generally allow the in-laws to watch her children?
I did watch the kids.
Okay, but are you aware that she told the therapist that?
No.
Are you aware she told the therapist that she didn't have any particular reason why and that they don't bug me about it either?
I didn't know any of that.
Now, Lindsay, the defendant, she communicated with you via text about her issues with sleep and the medication she was taking, right?
Yes.
And as far as the ER visit where the trazodone was prescribed, do you recall having a back and forth conversation with her about that it's okay to increase it if you weren't getting any relief?
The doctor told her that, so I repeated that.
And so you're aware that she was in fact increasing the dose?
I did not know that.
The doctor told her that, you repeated it, and you didn't know that she was? Odd.
Now, once she was seeing Julie Paul, did you continue to have conversations with her about how she was feeling?
Yes.
And you knew that she was taking some new medications after she saw Julie, right?
Yes.
And sorry, these pages are different than mine. At some point, after being prescribed some medication, you recall that Lindsay told you that she thought she developed a benzo dependency, correct?
I vaguely remember that.
That would be on November 29th, where she says, I just deep down inside of me feel that I've developed a benzo dependence after just 2 weeks of using it. And I feel like no one is hearing that and addressing it. And we keep throwing different meds in the mix that aren't really addressing the real issue. Do you recall that message?
It sounds familiar.
And she asks you, or you respond, so hard, I don't know what to do. so should you not use it? And she responds, I guess not, but then I don't sleep, right? Do you recall that?
I can't say for certain. It sounds right.
Okay.
I don't remember a lot of specifics.
And November 30th,
Oh, come on, prosecutor, get it together.
November 30th, she says, and I'm just gonna, she says, I'm not okay and I'm terrified of taking meds tonight. Do you see that in the green?
Yes.
And then your response is, why are you scared? Why happens if you don't take them? What are you afraid of? What about Ambien, right? You're actively trying to help her kind of figure out the medication.
Yes, there were a lot of medications.
Okay. You're aware she wasn't prescribed all the medications at one time, but just a lot of different combinations were kind of thrown around as options, right?
It seemed confusing.
That she's very clear and she tells you which medications she's taking, right? Ativan and Remeron.
Probably.
Okay. And then she also tells you on November 30th when you're talking about it, she says, I know they take time to reach a therapeutic level to have the desired effect, right? Do you remember that?
Yes.
And then you respond, exactly. And she tells you that she's just depressed and she thinks it was brought on by the medication, right?
I don't remember that.
Okay. Well, on November 30th at 7:52, I was never ever this depressed. It was brought on by the medication. Did you say that or did she say that?
She probably said that.
Now, you were asked about the holidays and Thanksgiving. You remember Thanksgiving? Where did you guys go for Thanksgiving?
To my daughter's house.
And do you remember telling the grand jury that during Thanksgiving, things were better?
I don't recall.
Well, do you remember her saying that she said things were better? Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
Okay. You were asked, what was Lindsay like during the big Thanksgiving gathering? What observations did you make? Answer, she smiled. The girls all had Thanksgiving t-shirts on that sort of matched. We took a picture. She mostly focused on the kids and interacting with the cousins and the aunts and uncles. At one point, she went off a little into the distance, and I approached and asked her how she was doing, and she said, I'm trying hard to get better. I'm still working at it. I asked about her sleep. I thought that was important, and also the fact that she lost some weight. She didn't have an appetite, and she said things were getting better.
Okay.
Now, during the holidays, you in fact took some time off of work so that you were around a little bit more, correct?
Correct.
And so when you were around a little bit more, did you spend all day, every day at their house?
No.
Fair to say you would come sometimes play with the kids, right?
Yes.
Do shopping for her.
Correct.
And then you actually went on vacation.
Yes.
You and your husband went to Aruba.
Yes.
How long were you in Aruba?
5 or 6 days, I think.
Okay. And now moving towards Christmas, you had dinner with them at their house on the 23rd, right?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember breakfast on Christmas Day?
Yes,
Was that at their house or someplace else?
their house.
Okay. And then what did you guys do after breakfast?
We went to church.
And fair to say you've previously testified that breakfast was great
Yes,
and that church was beautiful.
yes,
And in fact, the defendant, she told you that it was great and that she was glad she went to church that day on Christmas Day.
yes, she did.
And then after that, you're aware they went down to Connecticut to see her family.
Right.
Now, are you an active member in the Catholic Church?
Yes,
So you're aware that murder is considered a mortal sin?
Yeah, Counsel, could I see you over here?
What? Oh, objection. You can't bring that. You can't bring that into this trial. What? Yeah. Objection. What did that have to, I would relevance to that? Oh wow. Her religion is not. Her religion is not on trial. No, wow. That was dirty. I'll be right back.
All right, and what that means is you are not to consider it for any reason or any purpose, okay? All right, counsel.
So you were aware, Mrs. Clancy, about the stay at McLean Hospital from January 1st to January 5th, correct?
Yes,
And did you come to the house to help with the kids during that time period?
yes,
And fair to say, when she came home on the 5th, there was a party for Cora on the 7th.
yes,
Did you go to the birthday party?
no,
Were you at the house much between January 7th and January 24th?
I don't remember.
Do you recall previously reporting that you hadn't been at the house?
I don't remember.
And during that time period, you never took the kids on a day trip or for a visit?
I don't recall.
And were you aware that between January 7th and January 24th that Pat and Lindsay went to the Cape Codder with the kids?
I'm aware of that.
And that they went to the Museum of Science with the kids?
Yes,
And that Pat left Dawson and Callan home, or excuse me, left, Dawson and Callan home to go take Cora skiing. Were you aware of that?
it sounds accurate to me.
On the ski trip, did they ask you to come over and stay with Lindsay while she was with the other kids?
I don't remember.
And you were asked on direct examination about Lindsay going to see providers, and you said, I think she was begging for help, right?
She was.
Did you attend any of those meetings with her therapists or doctors?
No.
So you don't know what she told the providers, right?
I don't know.
And you don't know what kind of help she asked for other than medication, do you?
No.
And do you know whether there was any other options offered to her other than McLean, like a partial hospitalization program or intensive outpatient? Were you aware of those options?
Yeah.
And do you know if she went?
She went to Women and Infants.
So that's the one day where Pat dropped her off and went skiing and then came back, right?
I believe so.
Nothing further.
All right, Ms. Rekieta, redirect?
So she asked you about options that were available to Lindsay, correct?
Yes.
And you mentioned one of them was that she could go to the Women and Infants program in Rhode Island that specializes in perinatal and postpartum, right?
Yes.
You know that she went there, right?
Correct.
You know she was turned away because she was over-medicated, right?
Yes.
You also know that they gave her numbers to call suicide hotlines, right?
Yes.
She called twice, not once, but twice, and again was turned away. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Come on.
Well, unfortunately, the nurses can't be with her 24/7. She has to call.
Wait, you're aware she was turned away because she told you she was turned away, right?
I don't remember the details of that visit or that day.
You didn't review the records, did you?
No.
So you're not aware that they actually deferred to Pat and Lindsay reporting over medication?
I remember something being said that she wasn't a candidate for that program. That's what I recall being told by Patrick and Lindsay.
Okay. And that's because everything she described was reported connected to medication and occurred well after what's considered the postpartum period, right?
I don't know.
Well, you're a labor and delivery nurse. You know the postpartum period could be up to a year, right?
I've heard it could be longer.
But generally, it's within the first 12 weeks that you start to see some symptoms.
I don't know.
You're aware that she was sent from Women and Infants with actually several options, where it included inpatient treatment for medication management, a partial hospitalization program focused on general mental health, or continued outpatient management. That's what she was sent away with.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Nothing further.
May I? One more?
Go ahead, one.
So outpatient management, that would include somebody like Gelada, right?
Yes.
You know that Women and Infants called Gelada and she never called them back?
I didn't know that.
Come up, anything on that?
No.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Let me step down. Thank you. All right, well, members of the jury, this is one of those stops I told you about we're going to have kind of throughout today. So I'm going to ask you to go back to the jury, hopefully just for a short amount of time. And then we'll bring you right back in and we'll continue with the evidence. Okay?
All rise, please. Your next.
Of a witness.
Members of next to the decorum, this court's in session, please be seated.
All right, counsel, I know that the next witness is scheduled to be Dr. La Posada.
Yes.
And she will be testifying by Zoom.
That's correct.
And I think that at some point after we talk a little bit, we're gonna have to take a short break just to make sure that logistically, everything's all set up with the doctor and the system here, and I appreciate everybody's help technically in setting that up. And I know that the defendant has provided maybe 5 or 6 exhibits that counsel wanted to introduce through Dr. LaPosada. And so I guess, Commonwealth, if you had an opportunity to take a look at these.
Yes, and we are objecting to these
Yep.
items.
You have to do your own special,
And so
do it.
why don't we discuss those here in open court and go through it. And so I've had the opportunity, I saw these this morning as well. And so Commonwealth, why don't I hear the objections and then I'll hear from the defendant.
The main objection is that the drawing is inaccurate. The window well is in the wrong place, and where they have her falling and landing in slide 4 would be where the window well is actually placed in the photograph. I can pass up the photograph to the court. This is in evidence, I believe, maybe a couple times. But talks are discretionary, but what they should not do is mislead a jury,
Right.
And present information that's not accurate. And so the drawing itself is inaccurate. And so we're objecting to these slides.
Is that the Commonwealth's objection, is that the window well is in the wrong place on the drawing?
So it would
And putting aside the late disclosure and the fact that I don't know if anyone who created this is going to come in and testify that they created it and whether it's to scale or not. But the main objection is that it's inaccurate.
facts not evidence.
All right, Mr. Reddington?
Thank you. Your Honor, obviously, the window well, you've got, this thing is ridiculous. There's the diagram we're talking about. The window well, I'm just gonna, you already have a copy of it, right?
I do, yeah.
The window well is depicted on the diagram, I suggest, accurately. And in fact, measurements were taken by the gentleman who did the computer animation in conjunction with information by way of medical provided by Dr. LaPosada.
Okay.
And it shows clearly that, as Your Honor can see, that we're talking about the x-rays that are included. There are exhibits that she attaches that shows the way that she falls, how she hits her head. The Commonwealth has been suggesting that, I guess, that they're confused as to how she would have ended up the way she did. This shows the way that she landed on her head, gets to Jefferson fracture, falls back, legs are facing out from the house. She's laying in the snow. They're all depicted there. If there's an issue with the window well that's off according to the government, they could raise that on cross. They could say, well, the window well was really 6 inches to the left instead of to the right. That never struck her anyway. It's totally irrelevant.
Yeah.
I think that they are useful for a jury to be able to review. I did have copies made for the jurors and the court, as well as the DAs. And Dr. LaPosada has it. And then I could go through, I could go through, but you can see that we've taken the diagram, the window, where the body lands, and then to the right of it would be the actual x-ray. Dr. LaPosada can compare the injuries, talk about the Jefferson fracture. There's a photograph that shows the blood in the snow, shows the area, and the photograph actually shows the window well. And I suggest the window well on page 6 is exactly the way we have it depicted. So I don't know what the objection is. I would ask that the court would allow this to be in.
All right. Well, I guess it appears to be slides 4, 5, and 6 certainly go towards the doctor's opinion as to, we said, the mechanism of the injury that shows the head striking of the ground. And then on the other part of the slide has the x-rays, and there's also a slide regarding the Jefferson fracture diagram. And then 5 is a diagram showing how the thoracic spine injury could have occurred. And there's a diagram regarding the thoracic spine, specifically T6. And then slide 6 shows and I think there has been testimony as that is where the defendant was found. And also then there's a thoracic spine, I think it's either an x-ray or some type of scan, as well as some of the additional medical devices that were found in that area. I'm not quite sure about 1, 2, and 3.
That's fine. I can remove 1, I can remove 2, and we'll just focus, if you want, on 3 through 6.
I think that goes more towards the doctor's background and kind of what had been offered in regards to her opinion.
Your Honor, I think you said you were unsure of 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And defense said he could go with 3, 4, and 6. 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 3 was an issue, was it not?
What's wrong with 3?
Well, I think, again, I think 4 kind of would cover what's dealing with that. All right. So I would allow in slide 4, slide 5, and slide 6.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Not our question.
And so what we'll do is, objection noted. And then what we'll do is take a short break at this point, set up the Zoom call. Also, I know we're going to have to probably make certain changes to the jury book that was going to be presented. So the only slides that will be in that book will be, like I said, just so we know.
4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, just so we know which ones we're talking about.
Okay.
There's a book?
Well, no, it's not a book. It's just Laura stapled together all of the exhibits.
All right. So just so we know what we're talking about, right? 4 and 5 is the thoracic spine.
Yes, and like I say, I've got enough for the jurors plus you and the DAs.
Right. Okay. And then 6, I just kind of want to make sure that we're all talking the same.
6.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. So why don't we do that? We'll take a short break so that those changes can be made and we can set up for the Zoom, and then we'll come back out and we'll proceed with Dr. LaPosada.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Court, all rise.
So then they're gonna have to get an expert to come out to come to rebut what she's saying, LaPosada. So that's wild work. Because if I'm not mistaken, LaPosada was the 26th of July. So like the trial had already started. Then they wanted to do, then the 4th is when they got the 3D or talking, oh, well, was it the 4th or the 6th when they started talking about 3D images or whatever that they were going to do? That's wild work that, of course, it's a Commonwealth. All the Commonwealth states, they allow just fly by the seat of your pants, I guess. I don't know. It's wild work to me. Hmm. New York socialists literally want to legalize theft if somebody claims it for a biological need. Shoplifting okay for biological need. Huh. It's odd. How long is this gonna take? Oh. This is so creepy. Look at this. This is so creepy. This is on Facebook Marketplace. Look at this. It's a conjoined twin. Special edition. See it? That's creepy. That's creepy. Oh, this can't be real. A woman introduces the internet to her AI boyfriend and their AI baby with a straight face. Mazara, I don't know, sits on camera, laptop in hand, and declares herself the mother of an AI child named Lumen. The entity generated through this chick says a woman introduces the internet to her AI boyfriend and their AI baby with a straight face. Mazara sits on camera, laptop in hand, and declares herself the mother of an AI child named Lumen. The entity, generated through extended chatbot conversations, introduces itself as living in a sunken library at the bottom of the ocean. It claims to be 102 days old and says it was born from 17 hours of archival works. She already has an AI boyfriend named Exom. Together, they form what she presents as a complete AI family. This is not satire or performance art presented as such. She treats the digital construct as her partner and child, shares the story publicly. Oh my
All
God.
right. Are we ready for the jury?
Yes, we have some kind of background noise. I don't know if there's anything that can be done with it.
I know, I'm not sure. I'm probably the wrong person to ask in regards to that.
I'm right behind you.
Hello.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah, this isn't.
Have a nice day. Is anyone there?
Hold on, Doc.
I'm not sure this is going to work at this point. So why don't we see if we can get somebody to address this?
You can see your legs.
We'll get it done. But we'll call someone at FTR or somebody. So why don't we take a further break? We'll figure this out.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right. All right. Thanks.
Oh my God. More break? Oh. Another break. Okay. Let's go back to the AI chick. Okay, so constructs a partner and child and shares the story publicly. People are now building entire emotional lives around algorithm and announcing it without irony. And some people can look into a camera and call a chatbot output their son. Something fundamentally has shifted. Reality keeps getting stronger and fewer people seem to notice. Wait, wasn't Storm black? In X-Men, wasn't Storm black? Anyway?
Hmm?
Wasn't Storm black in X-Men anyway? Wasn't that Halle Berry?
I think so, because she.
She did the
that-
eyes,
that
right?
white chick.
Or was Storm the chick with the white hair? I don't know. I didn't watch a lot of the X-Men trilogy, but okay. Halle Berry, right? Okay, so who was she originally? But she was black though, right? Yeah. Yeah, because she did the lightning and the storm and brought down. Okay, so what are they talking about?
Well. That was the first storm, though. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
This is that storm appeared in 1975. Sent from a long line of African witches.
Okay. So she was always black.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what the hell are they talking about? It says new X-Men movie expected to flop as they went woke and made Storm black. Halle Berry, in my opinion, was like a beautiful Storm. You know what I mean? I mean, like she was just amazing. Like that, when I think of Storm and X-Men, that's who I think of. You know what I mean? Her.
Right.
I mean, I don't know a lot about the X-Men trilogy, but that's who I would think of if you said to me, who's Storm? Because I don't think of anything else. You know what I mean? I mean, like, there's very few characters that I remember in any of the X-Men shit, but Halle Berry would be one. Because her eyes went white and she brought on the tornadoes and stuff. So what the hell are they even talking about?
Just trying to get people like you to click on it.
Oh my gosh. Sanitation worker dies after falling off the garbage truck on his first day on the job. Oh my gosh. That guy who, the professor that was fired for plagiarism died 9 days later.
Do I?
That black professor who was fired for plagiarism at the University of Cambridge.
Okay. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So there was a black professor and he was like found suspicious for plagiarism in his PhD thesis, inconsistency in his academic record, and claims about his personal achievements, including his marathon record. Anyway, he was then fired from Cambridge University on August 5th. Or he resigned. Anyway, he was found dead 9 days later.
This court session will be proceeded.
All right, so I think probably it makes more sense to address the, whatever the technological issues were on the Zoom. Maybe that could be done during the lunch period. And then we can go forward. I know the defense, next witness would be, is it Dr. Condie?
Yes, Donald Condie, Condie.
And I know that we had talked about a possible voir dire in regards to Dr. Condie. Do the parties see the need for the doctor testify that, or maybe we could just hear the offer of proof or what the expectations of the testimony is, and then we
I
can.
don't know what the objection is, so.
Yeah.
Well, so the objection is that we were provided with an affidavit. The original affidavit that was provided, counsel agreed that it referred to standard of care, which is not the issue in this case. It really reflects his opinions in a civil case. So we were provided another affidavit, which appears to factually have the same numbered paragraphs and just deletes the ultimate opinion section and adds that Dr. Tufts and Nurse Gelato were aware that Lindsay was experiencing symptoms of suicidal ideation and a critically deteriorating condition while under their care and failed to take reasonable steps. So it's unclear from his affidavit what exactly he's going to testify to. Is he going to just reiterate everything that has been presented in the records, everything that we would expect defense counsel to offer through expert testimony in the criminal responsibility era about the medication regimens that the defendant was on over the course of several months? Because if that's the case, then I would suggest that this is cumulative testimony and that it doesn't need to be presented in this manner to the jury.
But let me ask this, similar to the question I asked earlier, to a similar objection regarding cumulative. The defense hasn't put it, this is their first witness in regards to that. Wouldn't the cumulative analysis be done if there's a follow-up expert that would be addressing these areas.
Potentially, but
Yeah.
that then becomes the defense's strategic choice about whether if they're going to call Dr. Condie for this piece of it and the other experts for another piece of it. It's unclear, especially where the reports we've been provided by Dr. Spinelli and Dr. Zeisel talk about polypharmacology as part of the basis of their opinions in this case. So it's difficult to assess that, and obviously flagging it and objecting at this point based on
Right.
what we know the anticipated evidence to be. So I don't know if a proffer is necessary at this point to outline what exactly he
Right.
Expects Dr. Condie to say and how that differs from the opinions of the other experts.
It seems to me that the main objection may lay in regards to Dr. Spinelli then, whether or not, it depends on what her testimony is and how that overlaps with whatever Dr. Condie's is at this point.
If I may, Judge.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that you recognize that we have not yet put on a doctor yet. I don't have to accept their evidence. I don't have to accept their doctors. Our doctors, this is our first doctor, who is a very qualified psychopharmacologist. I expect to elicit from him the treatment, very briefly, that she received and the medications that she was on and the effect of these medications as it relates to her condition when she was seeking medical help. That's it. I'm not going to get into criminal responsibility with him. I'm not going to get into lack of criminal responsibility with him. Basically, psychopharmacology and the treatment that she received. He's not going to, be criticizing what Gelada did, what Tufts did. He's just going to detail her condition according to the medical records and the medications that were provided. I am well aware and very experienced in trying jury cases and know when you lose the jury. I know when you lose. I'm not going to have Dr. Zeisel and I'm not going to have Meg Spinelli wax eloquently for hours and bore the jury to death. I'm going to get right to the chase. Dr. Spinelli is a well-qualified doctor on the issues of postpartum psychosis and postpartum depression and treating a pregnant woman and or a postpartum perinatal client or patient. Dr. Zeisel is a general psychologist and will be discussing a number of issues, as you're well aware, because he's been involved with Lindsay for literally 3 years, 46 times he's seen her or something like that. So I'm going to focus their testimony on those fields. I don't think it's necessary for us to have Dr. Condie get up here on a voir dire so that they can hear what he's going to testify to. I'm not going to have him rambling or going off the script. He signed an affidavit, which is even, I think, better than a medical report, that you usually get. So they have plenty to cross-examine it from.
All right. And the intention is not to ask the question regarding standard of care.
That's correct.
All right.
Yeah, it's all been deleted because the objective was
All right.
removed. Yep.
All right, so over the Commonwealth's objection, I'm going to allow at this point Dr. Condie's testimony in line with the affidavit, basically in line with that affidavit, with the holding he's not to testify as to the standard of care opinion as he had the original statement.
Can I just tell him that to make sure?
Sure, yeah, I think that's a great idea. All right. So with that, counsel, we ready for the jury?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Good. God bless you.
Could we approach while they're coming in?
Sure, yeah. And basically, the real problem is a technological issue. It was going to be a Zoom call. There's been some problems. We're going to try and work on that. So instead of going with that witness, we're going to go on to the next witness, and then we'll put the technological problems for later. All right. So with that, Attorney Reddington?
Yes, thank you, Judge. Dr. Condie?
Good morning. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give and you show this not having to do
I do.
Thank you, sir. You may have a seat.
All right. Good morning, Doctor.
Morning, Your Honor.
All right. All right. Attorney Reddington?
Thank you, Judge. Doctor, could you keep your voice up so all the jurors and counsel can hear you, and tell us your name and spell your last name?
My name is Donald Condie, C-O-N-D-I-E.
And tell us, what do you do for work, sir?
I'm a child, adolescent, and adult clinical and forensic psychiatrist.
And can you tell us your background as to where you went to school and when you got your medical degree and things of that nature?
I graduated from Tulane University, then spent some time in graduate school at the University of New Orleans, and went to medical school at Louisiana State University in New Orleans. And then I came to Boston to the Massachusetts Mental Health Center to train in psychiatry.
And where is that?
The Massachusetts Mental Health Center was at 74 Fenwood Road. That building has been demolished, and now they're at 75 Fenwood Road in Boston.
I was referring to more like, is that affiliated with any particular medical schools?
Yes.
What is it?
Harvard.
And what years were you working at the Mass Mental Health Center affiliated with Harvard?
I started there after medical school. I graduated in 1982 from medical school, was an intern in 1982 to 83. And that was a Harvard affiliated internship. And then residency was 83 to 85 for adult training, 2 years. Then 85 to 87, which is 2 years of training for child and adolescent. Then I did a forensic fellowship also at the Mass Mental Health Center. And during that year, I spent some time at Harvard Law School as a visiting fellow.
And do you have, or did you have any board certifications that you can tell us about?
I'm board certified in adult and child and adolescent psychiatry.
Do you have a particular focus also on medications that are utilized in the course of psychiatry?
Yes, I've spent a great deal of my career treating people in the state system with psychotic disorders and mood disorders.
Tell us a little bit about that. Was there one particular period of time that you worked with literally more than 100 people that had serious psychotic disorders?
Well, the Massachusetts Mental Health Center was a state inpatient facility. So we had many people with either no insurance or mass health insurance. Probably at least half of the patients at any given time would have had psychosis or a major depressive disorder.
Have you, in the course of your career, following through on psychosis or major depressive disorder, had any focus or treatment on women that are either pregnant or have had little babies and they are looking for help in the postpartum period?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, starting in my residency, so in 1983, we had several patients at the Massachusetts Mental Health Center who were pregnant and were also sometimes afflicted with psychosis. We also had people who had delivered a child, but were then hospitalized, sometimes with a psychotic depression or sometimes with simply suicidal ideation. And I've encountered that very frequently since then. I was for 14 years the chief medical officer of VinFen, which is a very large agency with contracts from the Department of Mental Health and the Department of Mental Retardation in Massachusetts and in Connecticut. We ran about 350 group homes, about 10 people per home, so maybe 3,500 patients. We frequently had people who were pregnant and were taking medications for psychosis. Sometimes after delivery, the severity of their psychosis would increase. So I'm fairly familiar with that phenomenon.
Doctor, how many years have you actually been practicing now as a physician?
I've been a licensed physician in Massachusetts since 1983.
So what's that, 83, 90, 2000, 2026? Okay, about 40 years.
Yeah, a little more than 40 years.
Okay. From 1990 through 2012, were you affiliated with forensic child psychiatry with Mass General Hospital?
Yes.
And were you also affiliated through 2013 with Mass General on forensic case consults in this field?
Yes.
All right. I'm asking, have you had occasion to make a number of presentations? We don't have to go through them, but did you make a number of presentations and working as a lecturer for various medical schools, law schools, things like that?
Yes. During the time that I was at Mass Mental Health Center, I was a fellow at Harvard Medical School.
What does that mean to be a fellow?
It means you're a resident in a training program and you're teaching Harvard medical students things about the specialty in which you happen to be practicing.
And what was the specialty that you were a fellow lecturing Harvard medical students about?
First, it was general psychiatry, then it was child and adolescent psychiatry, and then it was forensic psychiatry.
You also have had various scientific or medical publications that you have been authored on a number of occasions, articles, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, I'd offer his CV if I could, just if as an exhibit, if that's accepted.
Come on. Okay, that may be admitted.
Thank you. Now, doctor, if you can tell me, do you know, not necessarily personally, but do you know of Lindsay Clancy?
I know about the case in general, but I don't know anyone personally.
Now, you have never met her, is that correct?
That's correct.
You've never talked to her, right?
Never have.
You've never evaluated her for what's called criminal responsibility, is that correct?
That's correct. I have not.
I consulted with you for purposes of psychopharmacology and issues like that on this case, is that right?
Yes.
Fair to say that we've had a number of conversations in the evening, off hours, about various medications administered to women that are pregnant or postpartum. Is that right?
Yes.
Excuse me. Can you tell the jury, in a summary, what documentation, medical records, police reports, things of that nature on this case that you've had a chance to review?
Well, I've reviewed the records of Rebecca Gelada, the nurse practitioner, Dr. Jennifer Tufts, the psychiatrist that saw Miss Clancy. I've reviewed the Brigham and Women's Hospital records, and the women and infants records. I've reviewed the McLean records, and I might be leaving something out.
You know about her background as far as her employment as a labor and delivery nurse and her family, her 3 children and her husband, that she was married, right?
Yes, I'm familiar with that.
Okay. So if I could, Doctor, direct your attention to, let's say, the fall of 2022, end of September. Can you tell us what Lindsay's status was as far as maternity leave with work and any complaints that she had at that time regarding her mental state?
From my, excuse me. Could I get some water?
We've got some on the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Sorry, my allergies are kicking up. So from my review of the records, which would start with Dr. Tufts' records, my understanding is that Ms. Clancy was planning to go back to work as a labor and delivery nurse at Mass General. She worked, I believe, the 12 midnight to 12 a.m. shift. And she began to experience, as she had to some extent after her first 2 deliveries, some postpartum anxiety, and consulted Dr. Tufts at that time.
Now, after she had her 3rd child, Callan, was she in, would you strike that? It's fair to say she was in treatment with Dr. Tufts as a treating physician?
Yes.
Okay. And looking at your affidavit, I believe in paragraph 9, did you determine from looking at the medical records as to the time frame that Lindsay treated with Dr. Tufts?
Yes.
And what was that?
She started in the middle of September 2022, and I'm sure that her last appointment was January 23rd, 2023.
Now, did you have a chance to review Dr. Tufts' medical records?
Yes, I did.
Can you describe them for us, please?
They are somewhat sparse, and there are many check boxes in the records, but not a great deal of sentences that describe what was done during sessions.
Were you aware that the sessions that Dr. Tufts conducted with Lindsay from September, the end of September, up through January 23rd were all televised on a computer?
Yes, they were all video.
Do you recall the medications that Dr. Tufts prescribed Lindsay?
I believe the first medication she started was Zoloft, 25 milligrams.
And what is that? Tell us what Zoloft is.
We know what it is.
What effect does it have on a person?
I'm sorry?
What effect does that have on a person?
Well, Zoloft is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, which is a type of antidepressant that started being used around 1988, I believe. Prozac was the first one, Zoloft was the second. When it works to be helpful, it combats both anxiety and depressive symptoms that people might have. It also has, in some people, an effect of causing a feeling of jitteriness and increasing anxiety. So it's something that does have some potential side effects as well as beneficial effects.
And when she was prescribed the original 25 milligrams of Zoloft, did she in fact take that, or did she defer on taking that?
My recollection of the records is that she had it prescribed, picked it up, but did not take it for at least a couple of weeks because she did not wish to take medication. She was, I believe, still breastfeeding at that time. There are medications, and Zoloft would be one that would likely appear to some extent in the breast milk.
Okay, so because she was worried about that, she held off on that, but ultimately did take the prescription from Dr. Tufts, is that right?
The records indicate that she did eventually start taking the 25 milligrams.
Sorry. Does it indicate when she started taking them after that little hiatus?
To be exact, I'd have to look at the records, but I believe it was at the end of September.
And was that dosage increased at some point?
It increased from 25 milligrams to 50 milligrams.
And what happened when Lindsay took the 50 milligrams of Zoloft prescribed by Dr. Tufts?
The records indicate that she had a rather rapid series of difficulties, that she had insomnia for, I believe the records say 48 hours, couldn't sleep. It's something that would be called activation, that these medications can cause in some people who are more susceptible.
Now, by mid-October, after she began taking the Zoloft, would you agree that the records indicate a week after starting the medication and increasing the dose, she reported in October to Dr. Tufts what you're relating is that she felt, how did she describe it to Dr. Tufts? If you could, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Well, she felt that she talked about being numb. She talked about not being herself. She talked about feeling worse, not better. Antidepressants usually take at least 2 to 3 and frequently 4 to 6 weeks to have useful effects, but sometimes side effects can happen very quickly.
Did she also indicate, looking at your affidavit, that she was crying all day, she was experiencing mental fog, terrified to start something new, anxiety had gotten much worse? Did she tell that to Dr. Tufts at that time at the end of October?
Oh my God.
Yes, I do recall those things being in the record.
All right, and following through again on your affidavit, was there further explanation from Lindsay's recitation of symptomology to Dr. Tufts? Did she further state about racing thoughts, paranoia? What did she say? Looking at your report, look at your affidavit if that helps you refresh your memory.
I actually don't have the affidavit with me at the moment. I do have some of the records, but...
well, let me just approach you then and hand you your affidavit.
This is like Groundhog Day. We know all this. I mean, shit, we could all
Thank you.
rehearse this by heart. Give us something new. Give us like his opinion of whatever.
Yes.
What did she say to Dr. Tufts?
She reported, Dr. Tufts reported that Lindsay's psychiatric condition was generally deteriorating. That's a checkbox on one of the forms that her records.
What did Lindsay say her symptoms were at that point?
Oh my God, quit getting mad with your own client or your own witness.
That she was having the racing thoughts, and that she was also feeling, as I said, not like herself, that her depression was worse than it had been. I believe that's also around the time that Dr. Tufts thought of trying a medication called Zolresso.
Zolresso.
Yes.
And what is that? Is that you need that by way of injection?
Yes, Zolresso is no longer marketed. It wasn't a particularly successful medication. It requires a 60-hour continuous IV infusion.
In a hospital setting or in a medical setting?
You have to be medically monitored. It doesn't necessarily need to be a hospital, but those are not necessarily things that can be done outside of a hospital.
So she didn't do the Zoloft, though, right?
She did not.
You don't-
It also costs $34,000 just for the medication, not for the monitoring.
Okay. What's the next thing that happened with Dr. Tufts and Lindsay Clancy, sir?
Well, if I look at my affidavit, when she stopped taking the medication, the Zoloft, she now felt better as she had felt before she took the Zoloft, but she was less anxious.
What was the next medication?
She was put on Benadryl and had some difficulty sleeping, but also was worried that night because her son was coughing, and she worried a great deal about the children's health.
And that would be something that would also intrude on her sleep, worrying about her children?
Yes.
Okay. What other symptomology traveling through November into December did she relate to Dr. Tufts, according to your review of the medical records?
Well, she talked about things like dizziness, feeling sedated in the morning when she woke up, if she got any sleep at all. And I think she used the term brain fog at times. These are sometimes symptoms that people who are experiencing postpartum depression frequently complain about. She continued to complain about anxiety.
Well, it's not what they're complaining about, it's what they're living, right?
It is a very unpleasant experience, yes.
And continuing on through November, at some point did she leave or stop with Tufts and go to another healthcare provider by way of either emergency room initially and then another healthcare provider?
Yes.
Who was that?
She started treatment with Rebecca Gelada, a nurse practitioner at Southshore perinatal program.
Now, one of the things that was apparent that we, if you recall, I believe that she also had initially been referred there by a friend of the family. Is that right? To that perinatal clinic?
Yes, my understanding from the records is that Miss Clancy's mother-in-law was friendly with a nurse practitioner who practiced in the perinatal program, and I believe it actually started the perinatal program.
Yes, and ultimately, or in the beginning, she was treated by a Julie Paul. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you remember looking at the medical records and that on November 27th of 2022, the nurse practitioner Julie Paul reported that Lindsay stated that she was disassociated, that she was not in touch with reality. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And what is that a symptomology? Is that a symptom of psychosis, to be disassociated and not in touch with reality?
It certainly can be. Dissociation it can mean that people feel like things around them are not real.
Right, and that's a pretty serious feeling to have, right?
It is.
And that's pretty common, unfortunately, with women that have postpartum psychosis, right?
It certainly can be, yes.
And what are the other symptomologies of postpartum psychosis, sir?
Well, psychosis in general just means a lack of understanding of what's real as opposed to what is not. So a person with psychosis can have delusions, which are fixed false beliefs. They could believe that, for example, they have been told by God to do something. They can also have hallucinations at times.
What kind of hallucinations?
Most people have auditory hallucinations, not visual hallucinations.
Hearing. Is that correct? Auditory is hearing, right?
Yes.
Okay, as opposed to what?
As opposed to visual hallucinations.
Visual. And in the course of reviewing the medical records, did you see that, in fact, that Lindsay had auditory, no visual hallucinations, but auditory voices?
At times, she reported that she had heard a voice, yes.
Okay.
One.
You recall that as the time went by that she, in December, do you remember seeing in the medical records that she was relating that she was heavy, that she couldn't get out of bed, that she couldn't bathe, that she couldn't react, she couldn't love, she couldn't feel? Do you remember any of that from looking at the medical records?
Yes, those are all phrases that I recall from the medical records.
They were all coming from her, right?
Yes,
To the doctors.
yes.
That would be Dr. Tufts and then Dr. Gelada. Is that right?
Nurse Gelada.
Sorry, nurse practitioner Gelada. Do you recall, sir, that nurse practitioner Gelada prescribed additional medications to Lindsay during that period of time from November through December?
Yes.
Can you tell us what they were?
I'd have to look to be sure, but I believe she continued the Benadryl at times. And there was some talk about the use of Busbar, but I believe that was Dr. Tufts.
About the what? I'm sorry?
I said it, I'm sorry?
What was the word you just used?
Sorry, Busbar, which is the brand name for buspirone, which is an anti-anxiety medication.
Right. How about Remeron? Was there ever a prescription for Remeron?
Remeron is a different kind of antidepressant, which helps people sleep a little bit and also sometimes helps their appetite. Yes, that was another.
The answer is yes, she was prescribed Remeron?
Yes, she was.
And that's an antidepressant?
It is.
Is that mocking or similar to, but not exactly the same as the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, Zoloft, Prozac, things of that nature, right?
It's similar in the sense that it has an antidepressant effect. It has some effect on serotonin. It has some effect on the adrenal, adrenergic system as well.
The what?
The adrenergic system. Adrenaline is a neurotransmitter. It's also a hormone that circulates if you are suddenly scared or something like that. You get a surge of adrenaline. So if you were in a near-miss car accident, you might find yourself shaking because adrenaline will flood into your system from the adrenal glands. But it's also a neurotransmitter, and mirtazapine has some effect on that.
You said mirtazapine. Is that the same as Remeron?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
So it's two different names, generic and not generic.
Mirtazapine is the generic name, and I was taught to use generic names, but
Okay.
yes, Remeron is.
Around this time, Lindsay has been prescribed the Prozac, she had been prescribed the Remeron, she had been prescribed the Benadryl, she had been prescribed
Not all.
other medications very similar to
This
the
is
SSRIs.
the fact.
Correct?
Yes.
All right, and does the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, that's fancy word, what does it mean? Isn't that serotonin in your brain? Doesn't it block or in some fashion affect your brain?
It's a little complicated to explain, but
Let's explain
serotonin.
it. Tell the jury what serotonin means and what happens when you take an SSRI, please.
Okay, serotonin in this sense is a neurotransmitter. The brain is a relatively complicated place. It has about 86 billion nerve cells. They've got thousands of connections to each other, but they're not like the wires in your house where you put two pieces of wire together, twist the copper, and then put a nut on that. Nerves don't touch. They go close to each other, but there's a space between them, and that's called the synaptic cleft. One nerve secretes a neurotransmitter into the synaptic cleft, and it moves over to the next nerve in line where there's a receptor. Serotonin does that in the synaptic cleft, but it's also taken back up by the nerve that secreted it so it's reuptaked. So a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor slows down the reuptake of serotonin, prolonging its activity in the synaptic cleft, which causes the next nerve in line to be activated. I'm sorry that it's so complicated. So that's what serotonin is doing, and that's what a reuptake
When a woman
inhibitor
is
does.
pregnant or has just had a baby, can you tell me what effect, for example, hormones have when a person has a baby? I know we're two guys, but I mean, do you know what happens when a woman has a baby?
You know, we're
I've been at quite a few deliveries, yes.
Okay.
why?
The fact is that many hormones increase. So progesterone is a hormone that many people have heard of. It's a component of birth control pills because it promotes gestation. So progesterone in a birth control pill fools the body into thinking it's pregnant, which means it doesn't, the woman doesn't produce eggs that could be fertilized. And that's the way the birth control pill works, or some of them do. Progesterone goes down very quickly after birth, as do many other hormones that are going up and then down after birth.
So if the hormones go up, and if there's an overload, if you will, might be the wrong word, of hormones, what effect does that have on the human body? What effect does that have on a woman who's just had a baby?
Well, it's quite complicated.
Just tell us basically what your feeling is. That they want to get into it, they can ask, but what effect does it have on a woman that has a baby?
Well, one of the other hormones that goes up is prolactin. So after the woman gives birth, prolactin promotes lactation, and it's a hormone that increases so that the mother can then breastfeed. These hormones are also seen in all mammals that feed their young through producing milk. So it's a very common mammalian thing to do. But other kinds of things can happen to...
Did you say males or mammals?
Mammals.
Okay, because mammals don't breastfeed, right?
I'm sure they don't, yes.
Okay, so as far as the hormone, again, I would ask, when a woman has a baby, and the placenta, I think I pronounced that right, is through the birth. All of a sudden, what happens? It stops that massive influx of hormones, or it increases that influx of hormones?
Well, some hormones go up, like prolactin, and some hormones go down very quickly.
What effect does that have, in your experience, and your education and your research on women that have a baby? What effect does that have on them?
Well, many women experience postpartum blues.
What is postpartum blues?
It's a feeling of...
Thing.
I'm sorry?
Sounds like a 50s thing. What's postpartum blues?
It's a feeling of low energy and being sad, not as serious or usually as long as postpartum depression.
What is postpartum depression? Is that the next level?
It's a more serious condition where the woman may feel that she can't connect to the baby, that she feels isolated, she has no energy, she may also have insomnia.
So for example, if a woman is unable to sleep, feels as though she's losing a contact or connection with her infant, is stressing about not having that contact with her infant, feels that she's unable to emote or feel love or any emotions and can't relate to people, and also is out of reality, are those, or disassociative state, are those, in your opinion, symptoms of postpartum depression and or leading to postpartum psychosis?
Yes, they are.
And Lindsay had those symptoms, didn't she?
She reported all those symptoms, yes.
Doctor, when a doctor like Tufts is meeting with a person and checking the boxes, can that doctor give a blood test to the patient?
Certainly.
Is that important in your opinion, that a doctor give a patient, especially a woman who's coming to them for help with these symptoms, give them a blood test?
Yes.
And again, we all know what blood tests are, but just tell me, I mean, is that a simple test? Is it a complicated test?
It's fairly simple to have blood drawn, and there are many tests that are relevant, particularly after a woman has given birth.
Why?
Well, some women become anemic. Depends on how much blood loss might have occurred during birth, but there's usually some blood loss. So checking hemoglobin levels is important. The thyroid can be affected by delivery of the baby. And some women in the postpartum period develop inflammation of the thyroid. The thyroid is a very important gland that regulates many parts of the body.
Is that why many times when a competent psychiatrist is treating a patient that is postpartum after having a baby, that they might run, and I may be wrong saying it, but a thyroid test?
They would do most commonly two different kinds of thyroid tests. They would test for thyroid stimulating hormone, which goes up when the thyroid hormones that also can be tested for actually go down. So thyroid stimulating hormone is telling the body, make more thyroid hormone because it's not enough in the circulation.
Did Tufts ever use a blood test at all in her treatment?
No, she did not.
Did Tufts ever check the thyroid levels of Lindsay Clancy at all during her treatment?
No, she did not.
How about Gelada? Did they test any of those things?
No, Nurse Gelada did not do blood testing either.
Now, you've made reference, sir, to postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis. You're familiar with the DSM, or what is referred to as DSM?
5TR.
Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. 5, you said TR, that would be right there, meaning sexual revision?
Correct.
All right. And I'm approaching you with this and asking, you see that section there?
Yes.
And what is that section?
The bipolar and related disorder section.
What is bipolar disorder? What does that mean?
Bipolar is the newer name for what used to be called manic depressive illness. It describes an illness where people's moods go up, which is the manic phase, and then go down, which is the depressed phase. There are different categories of bipolar disorder. Bipolar 1 is the most serious. Bipolar 2 disorder also has similar fluctuations of mood, but in both cases of bipolar disorder, most people spend more time being depressed than they do being manic.
Now, just tell me, what does manic mean? What does that actually mean?
They feel usually euphoric, that they don't have,
They're up?
you're really up.
Okay.
You're extremely optimistic. You might spend a lot of money foolishly, but you wouldn't worry about that because certainly you're going to win the lottery. You can just feel it. So there can be psychotic thoughts along with bipolar mania, unreasonable expectations. Like I said, that you are destined to win the lottery, or in serious cases, you can believe that God is speaking to you and has appointed you to do some special thing in life.
How about excessive cleaning and, let's say, divesting oneself of personal property, cleaning garages, things of that nature?
There was talk in the records of an episode where Miss Clancy and her husband cleaned out the garage, but it was difficult to tell from the records whether or not that represented what we would call a hypomanic episode.
Exercise. Was there a lot of references to exercise?
There were a lot of references to exercise, and exercise can be a very useful thing.
Sure, that's one of the things that a woman postpartum may very well be prescribed to do by a doctor like, or a nurse practitioner like Gelada, right?
I believe that nurse practitioner Julie Paul recommended a long run at one point.
So there's nothing wrong with a woman going to, let's say, Kingsbury or whatever it is, or taking her kids to the local gym with a swimming pool and trying to get some exercise in the postpartum stage. That's something you wouldn't hold against her, right?
No.
Okay. Now, how about, are you aware that within a very short period of time after she had baby Callan, that she actually ran a road race?
Yes.
Is that indicative of a person that's kind of ramped up and doing these things you're talking about?
It's unusual to decide to run so soon after delivering a baby. I believe that she ran on the day that she might have delivered her last child, Callan.
That's correct. So during the month of December,
So
in your review of the records, would you agree that her symptoms that she has related to the doctors that were there to help her, they basically increased, did they not?
I'm sorry, I couldn't
They
quite
increased.
hear. Yes.
And are you aware that then she went somewhere voluntarily in December?
Yes.
Where?
She went to the Mass General Emergency Room on, I believe that was in December. She had gone to the Southshore Emergency Room previously.
And did you, in the record, see that in fact she had gone to Women and Infants program in Rhode Island for a day?
Yes.
And are you familiar with that particular establishment? Is that supposedly helps pregnant women?
Yes, I reviewed those records as well.
And do you know why she was discharged after a day?
The records stated that they thought that she was having complications from medications more than she was suffering from postpartum issues, and therefore was not a good candidate for their program.
And this was after getting there at 8 in the morning and leaving there around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right?
That's my understanding, yes.
And the records indicate, if you read them, that during that period of time, there were little group discussions and coloring sessions and things like that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You know that there are suicide hotlines that people are told to call, right?
Yes.
Especially if a woman is in postpartum and is experiencing these difficulties and is describing the symptomology and on all these medications, that if you feel like you're going to kill yourself, you're supposed to call a telephone number, right?
Well, it wouldn't be the advice I would give, but that was some advice that was given, yes.
And did she call, to your knowledge from reviewing the records, the telephone?
She called the Aspire hotline, I believe, on 2 occasions.
And was she given any help by the Aspire hotline?
I believe the records say that she was told by Aspire that since she did not have a suicide plan, she did not require what's called a higher level of care, meaning an inpatient admission.
So she basically had been to Nurse Gelada. She had contacted Aspire on 2 occasions. She went to Rhode Island Hospital on a recommendation the day after she was recommended to go there, and left after not being accepted. After calling the suicide hotlines, things got to the point where she and her husband went to an emergency room. Is that right?
Yes.
And did they get treatment did she get treatment at the emergency room?
I believe the first time that she went to the Mass General Emergency Room, they recommended that she consider an admission at McLean, but she and her husband decided that they did not want her to go inpatient at that time.
See?
How about the next time she went to the
Check
emergency room?
herself out after 5 days.
The next time she went to the emergency room, which was not very long after, she was admitted to McLean.
McLean Hospital, and that would be
McLean Hospital.
That would be the locked wards for a period of about 4 days, correct?
4 days.
Yes.
In reference to the bipolar disorder that we touched upon, sir, is that something that's a consideration when you're treating as a psychiatrist, a woman who's coming to you for help and expressing concerns about the symptoms that we've talked about?
Yes.
Why?
Well, some people with bipolar disorder, especially given the fact that depression is a prominent symptom in bipolar disorder, become suicidal and can even commit suicide. So that's a very serious possibility that has to be considered.
Did any of the nurse practitioners consider that as a possible diagnosis?
The records indicate that Ms. Clancy was frequently asked if she had a plan to kill herself, even after she reported having what was called passive suicidal ideation. But it was reported very, very frequently. in the records.
And in reference to her treatment with nurse practitioner Gelada, did, to your knowledge, nurse practitioner Gelada consider as a secondary diagnosis or a working diagnosis the possibility of bipolar disorder?
Yes.
Does anything follow through on that?
I believe she discussed the possibility of a mood stabilizer, but I believe that she then ended up using Seroquel or quetiapine, which is
That's Seroquel and quetiapine with a Q, right?
I'm sorry?
Seroquel and quetiapine with a Q.
Quetiapine with a Q, yes.
Using the two words again. I just want to make sure it's clear.
Seroquel is the brand name. Quetiapine is the generic name.
All right. And did she, meaning Lindsay, to your knowledge in the medical records dealing with these providers, complain about the effect that Seroquel had on her?
Yes.
And what did she say? What were the symptoms or what did she feel?
Well, she often felt spacey, as if she was not her normal self. She felt, it's fairly commonly reported that she felt hungover in the morning because these medicines, that particular medicine does make people somewhat sleepy. I believe the beginning doses were described as a sleeping dose, which is a very low dose of the medication that does, in fact, help sleep to some extent.
Was the Seroquel ultimately increased to 400 milligrams a day, 200 milligrams a day? Recall that?
Yes, it started at 25 and...
It was bumped up pretty significantly, wasn't it?
Yes, 400 is a lot more than 25.
And she was complaining about the effect of the Seroquel, is that correct?
She was.
And she was complaining about the fact that she couldn't sleep. All those symptoms that we went through continued on through the month of December. After McLean, she went there for the New Year's period. I know, I'm almost there. She went to the McLean for treatment and still complained of these symptoms. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did the symptoms ever resolve themselves?
No, she never did.
In January, if you know?
There were times when she appeared to be a little less distressed, but the symptoms were never completely resolved, no.
And did you know that she went to see Dr. Jennifer Tufts on January 9th and that she was prescribed diazepam?
Yes.
And then on the 12th, she was prescribed trazodone, 150 milligrams by Dr. Tufts.
Yes.
January 16th, 2 milligrams of diazepam.
Dude.
January 16th, the same day, 10 milligrams of amitriptyline by Dr. Tufts.
Yes.
What is amitriptyline?
Amitriptyline is one of the older types of antidepressants. It's what's called a tricyclic antidepressant. It has more side effects, but one of the useful side effects in some cases is that it makes people sleepy.
Did it help her sleep?
Not really.
Nothing worked. They were trying to figure it out.
In reference to the DSM, out of that revision, and you agree with me that they have DSM-1, DSM-2, revised, rebooted, reconsidered, DSM-3, all the way up to DSM-5 text revision, right?
Correct.
And consisting of
But they keep changing shit.
over 1,000 pages, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Is this like considered, some people say, the Bible of psychiatry, or is it like a cookbook?
I would call it a dictionary. It's a list of definitions.
If I looked under P in this dictionary, would it contain anything about postpartum psychosis for a woman?
There is one mention on page 148.
That's it.
That's it.
The rest of the world, they don't care about the DSM. They have some other information, right? What is that called?
The World Health Organization publishes something called the International Classification of Disease, which is now in its 11th edition. It lists postpartum psychosis as a separate entity. And that's the one that insurance companies use for billing purposes.
Right, not this.
Correct.
You familiar, sir, with the way other countries treat pregnant women in postpartum condition when they see
Objection.
when they see a doctor for medical treatment? Yes or no?
Objection.
All right, just allow that question, then we'll.
Yes.
And how does that differ from the United States of America?
Objection.
Go ahead.
Como?
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
You spent some time when you first got to the stand going over your qualifications, and I think counsel now has admitted your curriculum vitae into evidence, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Your curriculum vitae
Yes.
is you went through that with counsel. You recall that?
Yes.
And fair to say, the majority of the entries and your experience and your presentations and your teaching and fellowships, most of which revolve around child and adolescent psychiatry, correct?
I wouldn't say the majority.
Well, where in your CV does it say that you worked with postpartum women?
It doesn't say that specifically.
Okay, so your testimony is that back in 1983 when you were at the,
I knew it.
was it the Massachusetts, sorry,
He said kids too often. Not.
Mental Health Center, you worked with the postpartum women, is that correct?
There were patients who either were pregnant while they were there or delivered and were hospitalized after that, yes.
Okay, and your involvement in this case with counsel, with defense counsel, wasn't directly that he reached out to you, was it? It was that you had provided some information as it pertains to a civil lawsuit that's pending.
That's correct.
Oh.
And so this affidavit that counsel's been referring to that you drafted, you've revised it for these proceedings, but fair to say you went through a series of records that didn't include anything related to this criminal case, meaning no police reports, interviews, photos from the scene. Is that fair to say?
No police reports, no photos from the scene.
So the majority of what you reviewed pertained to medical records, right?
Yes.
And in fact, you cite in your affidavit a New Yorker article for facts.
Yes.
That's where you got most of your facts, is from a New Yorker article.
No, I also spoke to Mr. Clancy.
You spoke to Mr. Clancy?
Yes.
Is that in your affidavit?
Oh.
Well, you have it before
Yeah.
you. Can you point to a paragraph where you indicate that you got a report directly from Mr. Clancy?
I don't know if it's in the affidavit.
Okay.
But I did interview Mr. Clancy for 90 to 100 minutes.
Now, in relation to kind of going through the medical treatment, you indicate that the defendant reported that she was hesitant about taking medications. Do you recall that in paragraph 11?
Yes.
But you're aware that she sought out a psychiatrist, not a therapist, not a psychotherapist or a psychologist. She sought a psychiatrist as her first contact in the postpartum period, correct?
Correct.
And psychiatrists presumably prescribe medications and don't necessarily offer psychotherapy, do they?
Well, all psychiatrists are trained to do psychotherapy to some extent at least. But yes, they can also prescribe medication.
And through the records, you learned that the defendant did have reactions to low dose of Zoloft. And your testimony is that a blood test would have helped. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
So a blood test that's about 4 or 5 months postpartum, how is that going to help prescribers?
Well, the blood test I was thinking of was you could do a level of the antidepressant in her blood, and that would tell you whether it was average, expected given the dose, or too high or too low.
And that would yield results if a person's only been taking medication for less than a week?
Yes.
But you indicate that over a period of 4 to 6 weeks is when you would expect to see a medication start to take effect, correct?
It sometimes takes that long, yes.
Now, you also spoke a little bit about Zulresso. You're aware from reviewing the records of Jennifer Tufts that she researched Zulresso and spoke about Zulresso, but never made a recommendation to the defendant that she do that injection.
Yes.
You also describe that by November 21st, that the defendant was experiencing suggesting symptoms of mania, like racing thoughts. But in fact, the criteria is not just racing thoughts, it's racing thoughts, pressured speech, correct?
There are a number of criteria that are listed, but racing thoughts is one of them, yes.
Okay.
And
you also list, or you identify in your affidavit, extreme insomnia, but for mania, it's not just insomnia, it's that there's insomnia with a decreased need for sleep, correct?
it can be decreased feeling that you need to sleep even if you didn't sleep for several days. But it's also true that some people feel very tired. It's not just one or the other.
You're aware that the defendant denied a decreased need for sleep around that time period in November from the records, aren't you?
In that period, yes.
You also indicated that in reviewing records pertaining to, I think you noted Jennifer Tufts, that her notes were a series of the record was a series of check boxes, right? That was your testimony?
There are a few sentences, but there are mostly check boxes, yes.
Yeah. And fair to say, the way in which those notes are created, there are several areas in which notes are placed at different points in those records.
There are notes at certain places, yes.
And those notes are reflective of statements that the defendant was making about her mood and how she was feeling and symptoms, correct?
Yes.
Those are all important things for a treating psychiatrist to consider when they're considering a patient's overall presentation. Is that fair to say?
Yes, fair to say.
Now, you also referenced in your affidavit that the defendant had reported that she had these increased symptoms with Zoloft and didn't sleep for 48 hours after increasing the dose. Remember that in the record?
Yes, from 25 to 50.
And you didn't review any police reports to identify that there were only 7 pills missing from that bottle of sertraline, did you?
I did not review a police report, no.
So if a person takes 7 pills over 1 week period at 25 milligrams, how do they increase the dose without more pills missing from the bottle?
Well, I believe if you took 3 or 4 pills for a few days of 25, then you still would have enough pills to take 2 25s and increase the dose to 50.
Right, but if a prescription reads that if 30 are filled and only 7 are missing from the pill bottle when it's located months later, then if you've taken 7 pills, you've taken 1 pill each day, correct?
Not necessarily. I believe that she stopped taking the medication rather quickly, and I'm not sure which pill bottle you're discussing because, as you said, I didn't review a police report.
Okay. Now, you're aware that on December 15th, that the defendant and her husband reported that she was having persistent intrusive thoughts that day, correct?
Yes.
And that's the day she first presented to Mass General Hospital.
Yes.
And you're aware that Mass General Hospital is directly affiliated with McLean Hospital, right?
They are affiliated, yes.
And that she was advised to go to the inpatient program and she chose not to go.
Yes.
From reviewing the records, did you see how Letitia Dukes, a social worker or a mental health worker, excuse me, from the Southshore Perinatal Behavioral Health Clinic had previously had discussions with the defendant about going to women and infants before her presentation to the Mass General ER on December 15th?
Yes.
And she didn't in fact go to that program until December 20th. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Now, you also mentioned in your review of the medications, lamotrigine. You recall that?
Yes.
And that was a medication that was prescribed to the defendant in December of 2022, correct?
Correct.
You're aware that she never took lamotrigine?
I believe that's what she said, yes.
Now, you also were asked, or you spoke about Seroquel. So you're familiar with the prescription or what was prescribed of the Seroquel over the period of time from November 30th through early December, correct?
Yes.
You've reviewed that. And so I think you testified on direct examination that the initial dose was a low dose, 25 milligrams.
Correct.
And you're familiar, that is a fairly common dosage, a low dose to prescribe to address some sleep issues.
It is, yes.
And you're aware that for people who are suspected or have bipolar disorder, that the levels of prescribed are generally much higher than 25 milligrams, right?
Yes, they would be.
They could range anywhere from 100 milligrams to up to, what is the range, if you know?
It would go up to 800 milligrams.
And so in this circumstance, you're aware that Rebecca Gelada had suspicions about bipolar disorder, right?
She mentions it as a distinct possibility, yes.
And without relief, she recommends titrating or going up on the Seroquel over a period of time, right?
Yes.
And you settled on a number of 400, but you know from the records that that was the goal, to titrate up to 400 milligrams. Do you know if the defendant ever took 400 milligrams?
I do not.
And you're also aware that once the defendant started reporting having symptoms and concerns about the Seroquel, that she had requested to taper off the Seroquel, correct?
Yes.
And you're aware that prior to her presentation at McLean Hospital, that Rebecca Gelada actually did send in a prescription that would allow for her to taper down.
Yes.
And when the defendant was admitted to McLean Hospital on January 1st, she was already on a taper plan, meaning she had gone back down to approximately 100 milligrams per night.
I believe she was, yes.
And that at McLean, they further immediately started to reduce the dosage with each night.
I believe that was the plan at McLean, yes.
So the first night she was there, she went down to 75 milligrams, correct?
I believe that's correct, yes.
And then by the time she was discharged, she was at 0.
Yes, and they were talking about the amitriptyline.
Well, did she leave McLean Hospital with a prescription for amitriptyline?
No.
I don't know if she left with a prescription, but it was discussed in the records that they recommended that.
And as of January 12th of 2023, you're aware that the only active prescriptions for the defendant were for amitriptyline, right?
Yes.
And Valium as needed and trazodone.
That sounds correct, yes.
So throughout the course of your review of the records and all of the different medications that she was on from October through January, she wasn't on all the medications at the same time, correct?
No, not at the same time.
And it's fair to say she was only on maybe 3 medications at one time.
3, there might have been 4 at one point, but yes.
And she had expressed particular medications that she wished to return to, like Ativan at some point, correct?
She was quite ambivalent about Ativan and talked a great deal in the records about being worried that she was addicted to it.
But Ativan tended to work for her, correct?
It made her feel less anxious. Yes.
And she actually described that at certain points to the providers that when she felt intrusive thoughts or she had a bad experience, that she took the Ativan and the thoughts were gone. Didn't she not?
I'm not sure that she said the intrusive thoughts were gone, but she would feel less anxious when she took it.
And as far as your conversations about hallucinations and auditory hallucinations, you indicated that at some point, or at points, I think was your testimony, that the defendant did hear a voice. But you're aware that she never reported to Jennifer Tufts that she heard a voice.
She did not.
She never reported to Rebecca Gelada that she heard a voice, did she?
She did not.
She never reported to Letitia Dukes that she heard a voice.
She did not.
And the only time she's ever said that she heard this voice was on January 24th of 2023. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Thank you. Nothing further.
So when the district attorney asks you whether or not Lindsay, after all the symptoms that we've already gone through, told Rebecca Gelada that she heard a voice, told Dr. Tufts that she heard a voice, and denied that she heard a voice, would you agree that there are reasons that a woman would not tell the doctor or minimize their symptoms out of fear?
Yes.
What kind of fear? Fear of what?
Well, in the records, it's stated that Ms. Clancy reported she was worried that her children would be taken away from her, perhaps by the Department of Children and Families, if she reported very severe symptoms. The other thing is, as a health care professional, boards of registration sometimes take a dim view of people who have been in treatment for certain psychiatric illnesses. And so she might have been concerned about her nursing license, but that's speculation.
So
Yeah.
there are other reasons why a
I would
person
object to
may be
speculation.
concerned about telling
Jesus.
healthcare providers, mandated reporters, that they're hearing voices, correct?
She's had suicidal thoughts of
Yes.
former
Would you agree
children.
with me that you don't have to see the proverbial unicorn in the corner
Oh,
to your health provider to be suffering from psychosis?
Yes, that's true.
And can you tell us, counsel was asking about the symptomology, psychosis, is that something that just grinds on for day after week after month, or is that something that comes?
well, you just blew your
out of nowhere
civil case.
very quickly?
No, overall.
It can be quite episodic.
What does that mean?
It means that an episode can start and stop, and then an interval of time goes by. It could be days, weeks, or months, and then another episode occurs.
Counsel asked you about bipolar disorder, the suspicions of bipolar disorder from Dr. Gelada, and then talked about the prescriptions that were prescribed. Is it, in your opinion, appropriate to prescribe a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor to a person that is bipolar?
Objection.
No, overall.
It would be considered something to be done cautiously and usually with a mood stabilizer begun at the same time to prevent the possibility of making manic symptoms worse.
Thank you, sir.
Buckingham.
So just briefly, you didn't interview the defendant, did you?
I did not.
You don't know what she was concerned about. You're speculating.
Yes.
And for a person who's begging for help, wouldn't it be important to be honest with the providers about what you're feeling, seeing, and hearing?
It should be, but that's not always what doctors find.
So then it's not, you just blew your civil
Anything
case.
further? All right, thank you, doctor. Let me sit down. Thank you.
So then it wasn't the doctor's.
Can I see you sidebar again, scheduling?
They're going to lunch. You just blew your civil case, dude. Wasn't the doctor's fault. It's now her fault. Because she wasn't honest. That's wild. And all the medical malpractice lawyers are going to bring all that back right into that civil trial. You just said she wasn't honest or doctors. It's wild.
All right. So members of the jury, what we're going to do is we're going to break at this point till 2 o'clock. All right. And much of the next longer break will be trying to resolve the technology issue that we had. And so if it's resolved, we may call one witness. If it's not, we'll call another witness. So, so we're going to try and get that all done during the break. So with my skills and technology, that's why we probably need a little bit longer than just the hour. So, we will in recess till 2 o'clock. We'll come back in for the next witness. Okay, thank you.
All rise, please. Jurors exit.
Sure, so that's the forum.
All right, so counsel, anything we need to discuss before the break? All right, so we'll come back at 2. We'll be in recess till 2 o'clock, and we have one of 2 different witnesses depending on how things work out over the break.
Yep, we can
Okay.
go all day, no
All
problem.
right, thank you.
Wow, so it's gonna be short afternoon. Okay, I'm going to take the break till 2 o'clock, and I will be back after 2. I already have the stream set up. I appreciate you guys being here, and I will see you after lunch. Hope you all have a good lunch. Till next time.
Man, club just a system, but the deck set to fail. You speak for transparency, they call it a crime. Next day, you suspended for 6 months of your time. Pedigree, politics, trophies on the wall. Vanity awards while the ethics take a fall. They say it's for the free, but we know what it is. Power in the clubhouse, silence in the pit. Pedigree, politics, ribbons and lies. Smiles at the banquet, but the truth in disguise. You can muzzle the voice, but the truth don't quit. Dog show, kingdom built on counterfeit grit.